So Doom Patrollers, you may have thought you've seen kind of strange superhero characters on Doom Patrol. Well, this episode, Flex Patrol, introduces Flex Mantello, and we're also entering the end game with Mr. Nobody, and that ending of the episode was extremely meta, so we need to talk about Doom Patrol episode 13, Flex Patrol. What is up, Doom Patrollers? Welcome to a brand new review. Now, this is for episode 13 of Doom Patrol. Only 2 episodes left, and this episode was titled Flex Patrol, so that was a fantastic episode. I really enjoyed Flex Mantello, a lot more than what I thought I would. I mean, I didn't think I wouldn't enjoy him, but I just didn't expect massive things apart from a lot of humor, but there was a lot of emotion there, especially towards the ending of that episode. Of course, in this episode as well, we revisited Cyborg because of what happened with Silas in the last episode. We had quite a bit of backstory with Rita and Larry. I always love it when Doom Patrol, well, they do this every episode, but when they dive really deep into the rich kind of history of these characters, because, you know, these characters have been around for a long time. And also, I think this is our first solid foundation for what Rita was really ashamed of in her past. But before we break down all of that, everyone, be sure to subscribe to this channel if you want to stay up to date with more Doom Patrol reviews and news on the DC Universe and other things just like this. By the way, join my Discord server to talk about Doom Patrol with me directly if you haven't done so already. Links are in the description down below. And go ahead and like this video only if you go on to enjoy it, though. So straight away, guys, we are introduced to Flex Mantello right at the beginning of the episode. I think it was back in Kansas, 1964. And yeah, it was just like seeing him. It was really nice seeing his wife Dolores and how the whole town just adored him. We got to see the demonstration of his powers, just like how he laid down the blanket perfectly, spawned some freaking food as if it was like a video game engine or whatever. It was like a really nice opening. But that is when we learn how he gets into the ant farm, and that's through this kid who works for the Bureau of Normalcy, which is, to be honest, I don't expect anything different from that effed up freaking government black site kind of group. I really love how they went from that moment in the episode where they take Flex to the ant farm, but then going straight to present day, starting off from the end of last episode, where we even see Darren Jones actually survived. Now, I was surprised last episode where I said I thought they killed him, just because I really didn't think he would survive like the horde of butts, because you saw him get dragged in that room and you saw their teeth, so I just thought he stood no chance. But then again, I think I said that maybe he did survive one way or another, and that seems apparent. He had a few chunks out of him, so that's not the last of Darren Jones. And as I said, it was weird for me to think that he was dead anyway, because he's quite a big player in the Doom Patrol comics. So we will be seeing Darren Jones again, I'm absolutely certain of that. In this moment, it kind of set up the different branches for what was going to happen in the episode. So we had, Crazy Jane take Rita and Cyborg to the hospital. We even had Flex Mantello talking to negative energy, and I was just like, wait, how can he communicate with Sparky, shall we say, actually, but Larry can't. So that definitely set up that branch. So let's start off with Larry's time at the ant farm again. Now, I didn't expect to actually see Larry's time at the ant farm again this season, or even at all from what we saw previously, but I love how they kind of incorporated the story to the point where he's actually met the guy they needed to, find Chief. So this all started off with the negative energy being tortured. Larry actually meets Flex in the cells that they're in, and we get it confirmed to us that Flex can actually hear the negative energy, and even cause the negative energy Sparky. I just love how he flexed his bicep and then that hole in the wall just appeared. It was something like, using or manipulating the vibrational wavelengths of his muscles, which allows him to do that. He even had a conversation with Sparky, shall we say, to get him back to his place. He questioned, is it another dimension? But either way, he's sure that he can get Sparky back to his home, or negative energy, because he can open up a door anywhere. Now, stepping away from that for a second, let's talk about Victor. Of course, I kind of predicted this in this episode, but I just knew it was the case. Some people thought that Silas was dead, but I just thought that would be way too premature of the show to do. I thought fair enough that, Cyborg has metallic hands and stuff, but I just didn't think that Silas was dead, and so, he was taken to the hospital. But naturally, Cyborg was really beating himself up, even saying that Mr. Nobody didn't plant the seed of doubt in his head. He did it all on his own. I think what he was trying to say there is that he's obviously had this damaged relationship with his father, and he's been wondering, even before Mr. Nobody got involved, about the origin recording of his mother dying and him being in that accident this whole time. So Mr. Nobody is just like this master, schemer and manipulator. So Victor's being a bit too hard on himself there, but I totally get it. His stuff with Rita this episode was really nice. Not that they had a bunch of scenes, because Rita's stuff was more segregated, but Rita was really trying to appeal to Cyborg this episode because they need Grid to reinstall itself back in Cyborg so they can use that to track down the tracking chip that Rita placed on Beard Hunter. Now, where did Beard Hunter go? To Mr. Nobody, and we haven't heard of him since. In other news, guys, and I absolutely love how they maintain this storyline and keep us updated with it, Animal, Vegetable, Mineral Man has been given immunity for giving information on that mysterious medical facility, the one in Paraguay that Von Fook, or whatever his freaking name was, ran to give people metahuman powers. But it turns out that a Von Fook loyalist tried to shoot him down, but don't worry, guys, he only got shot in the minerals, so he's all good. Expected to make a full recovery, so we'll be seeing more of Animal, Vegetable, Mineral Man at some point, I'm sure. So Rita's backstory this episode, guys, I really, really enjoyed it. I mean, they've explored Rita, but I feel like not as much as what they've done with Larry, for example, or Cliff Steele. Like, we've had moments with her overcoming Rita and like being Gertrude, like letting go of her previous self. But in this episode, we learned what she was ashamed of. We learned about the dirt that kind of Mr. Nobody had on her, as she put it herself. Like, she wanted to help Cyborg, but she's also scared of Mr. Nobody exposing that dirt. So we go into Rita's past, where essentially she explains to this old man, but we'll talk about that old man a little bit later. She explained how Gene Stanton basically got Rita to get her fellow actresses to meet up with him in the hotel. And at this period of time, I don't think she was getting much work. And then after each time that happened, the phone would ring and Rita would get some gigs, and it happened again and again and again. Like, he kept asking her, and so I guess her success happened. But then there was Mary Beth Wooten, I believe her name was, which there was another meeting except a baby came out of it, and she didn't have anyone. Obviously that guy Gene didn't want anything to do with the baby, so she went to Rita. Rita gave her like $100 and looked the other way, and then it turned out that that girl ended her life. So she felt extremely guilty about this, but she felt even more guilty because of the fact that she wanted to look after the kid, but the kid just kind of disappeared, and she kind of looked the other way and went on to make the movie. And I think that's the very movie where her accident happened. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was. I think April did an amazing job with her performance here. I was so absorbed into the scene. You saw how much guilt she's carried with her over the years. As she puts it herself, she's searched her whole life for absolution, and she will never really find it. But it's also weird at the same time, because the other interesting thing about this was that old man, who was really Mr. Nobody, because it's like, and I had my suspicions, I admit I did have my suspicions, but I completely disregarded it, because I was like, no, this guy's helping Rita, come out of her shell, overcoming the dirt that she's ashamed of, that she's kept with her this whole time. So why would Mr. Nobody help her? So I totally forgot about that fleeting thought that I had when I first saw him. But it turns out that Mr. Nobody wants them to come together and form a superhero team, not like the first Doom Patrol, but one that he can actually get behind. But we'll talk about that towards the end of this review. So let's go back to Flex Mentello for a second. Obviously they were trying to trigger his powers and his memories the whole time, but I really like that moment when Robot Man was speaking to Jane about the underground. Obviously he helped her, but he also apologizes because he's aware that there's some things that she probably didn't want him to see down there. Cliff explains that he only wanted to help, and if she ever wanted to talk, and she was like, I don't want to talk about it. But that moment when he put her hand on her shoulder, and you can tell that she really did appreciate that, but she doesn't want to show her vulnerability or her true feelings there. I love how much progress we're making between those two. They're just so amazing. They're my two favorite characters on the whole show, and I'm sure you guys, some of you guys at least, must have felt the same in that moment. So throughout the episode, we do go back to the past in the Ant Farm with Larry still. You see the negative energy is being tortured to the point where they're actually killing him. We go back to the cells, for example, and Flex is just like, okay, we're breaking out now. Let's do this. And I don't blame Larry for resisting at this time, because, Flex and the negative energy were all about, getting out of there. But Larry, was just, mentally kind of disturbed by the whole experience and thought if he tried to escape, they're just gonna come down on them 10 times harder. And this whole moment was really messed up. but provided the context as to what happened to Flex and why he's been there for so many years, because the Bureau came in and they actually showed a TV screen of Dolores. Now, this adds so much gravity to these two characters in the episode, especially with that near ending, because Flex essentially gave up and submitted to the Bureau of Normalcy because they essentially had her and they would let him tune in to check up if she's okay week to week. And I was just like, man, that is very cold. But this also gave Larry essentially the idea that Dolores is the key to probably waking up, Flex from his slumber, or his memory slumber, if you will, because this is what the negative energy was trying to show Larry the whole time he was out and in those flashbacks. So the moment Dolores and Flex reunited together, it was such a sweet moment. Like, it definitely hit me in the feels. I was tearing up as that happened. Now, of course, guys, she does snap Flex out of it, and it was really sad kind of seeing her come to as well, and just them both, like, kind of their memories coming back at the same time. And also, as happy as they were simultaneously upset, or she was more upset because of what the things the Bureau made her do. But at this point, guys, the Bureau had like activated a Thanos snap or something in her body at least, that disintegrated her, because it was built upon the fact that if she ever found Flex Mentello, then she would die. So he absolutely lost it, and we're going to see more of this story continue next episode. But it was at this time as well where we saw that Cyborg put Grid back in, and he even says that you're gonna have to find Niles without his help, or save Niles if he puts Grid back in, because he wants to be with his father. But kind of like, he's still gonna be in it, and in the trailer for the next episode, he's very much so in the episode. Oh yeah, and before we talk about Mr. Nobody, I love that moment between Larry and the negative energy at the end. Now, one thing I will say, the only criticism, and I could be wrong here, so I just want somebody to point it out in the comments below if I am wrong. I feel like they haven't fully explained how Larry, so essentially Larry was kind of dying without the negative spirit or energy inside him, because not only does he stop him basically from aging, but he can stop the radiation and everything else happening that was causing him to die without the negative presence in his body. And as I mentioned in my last review as well, I was saying that this is the first time we've seen Larry kind of walking around with the negative energy outside him as well. Usually he's knocked out, but I don't feel like they explained how that is possible now. Sure, like Larry's dying without him in it, but the negative spirit isn't required to be within Larry anymore. He can actually go away. That's why Larry was just like, no, let me die, let me do this for you, you go fly away. That's why he went outside Doom Manor, looked at the world, and I thought this was a really beautiful moment in the episode, because he looked at everything and where he could fly to, but he decided to go back in and be with Larry. My only assumption is that during the ant farm scenes in last episode, where they extracted the negative energy out of Larry into that little tube, that old guy must have done something that made it so that the negative energy is stable without Larry now, and he doesn't require Larry, because I assume that's the case. He used to have to be with Larry, he couldn't go anywhere he couldn't go, but now they definitely put it in our faces that the negative energy could go wherever he wanted to, if he wanted to. And so, guys, at the very end of the episode, I love when they were like, it's time to fight back, but that is when it pauses and Mr. Nobody reveals a whole bunch of meta things. Quite literally, guys, we had Mr. Nobody sitting there in his little weird voidy place saying that he wants this superhero team, like not the old Doom Patrol. That's why I mentioned that earlier. He wants this new superhero team, finally one he can get behind. That's why he helped Rita overcome her biggest shame, if you will. But he was wearing a DC hat, a Doom Patrol blanket, a Doom Patrol shirt, a Doom Patrol mug. We had the official Doom Patrol poster up there. What? That is incredible. This is like, guys, this is why everyone, or a lot of people out there, are saying that this is quite literally the best comic book or comic booky TV show out there to date. It really, really is. And that bit where he was looking right into the camera and talking essentially to us at the end was just brilliant. So, that was the episode, guys. I thoroughly enjoyed it. We're in the last 2 episodes now, since that was episode 13. There's 15 in total, so that's why they were like, it's time to fight back. I'm guessing these last 2 episodes will really be about delivering the fight to Mr. Nobody. But what did you think of it down in the comments below? What did you think of Flex? Are you looking forward to more Flex Mentello? Because I'm sure that his kind of, I guess, his reality-esque manipulation powers will definitely help against Mr. Nobody. Other than that, though, everyone, as always, like this video if you did go on to enjoy it, especially if you got this far. Smash that like button. Subscribe to this channel if you're brand new. As always, guys, I would love to see more Doom Patrollers in the Discord server, so that link to the server is in the description down below. Follow me on social media, and other than that, Doom Patrollers, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.